Welcome to the Dorky Readings and Bloopers, featuring Blood Phoenix Rebirth, first book of the Broken World series. Chapter 6. James sat in a far booth corner with another dark-haired man. My muscles tensed, ready to bolt, and I did my best not to think of the dead man in the bathroom, the second one I had killed. Making my way to the bar, I counted in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, and James stood at my back. He pulled me against his side and spoke in my ear. Are you okay? I just killed that fucktard. I mean seriously. He's dead, and I killed him and left him there. Surprisingly, mere numbness floated around inside me. The dude had been an abuser. An asshole, right? God, I couldn't turn into a serial killer. Vampire or not, I just couldn't. James's eyes shone and his lips quirked with amusement. Did you just call someone a fucktard? Can we go? Yeah, we can go. Waving to the man he'd been sitting with, James led me back into the depths of the parking garage. He sat me in the car first, securing my seatbelt and shutting the door. I stared at the toe cleavage above the red line of my pumps as he walked around to the driver's seat, and I sank further into mine. Soon, the car pulled out of the garage, and I leaned my head against the cushiony fabric of the seat, the same seat I'd fought my own death in. Buildings and lights whirled by, and my hair spun into my face. Closing my eyes, I let the wind whistle a sweet song in my ears. The way it played across my skin, I swear I could fly. When we stopped, I didn't move. I wanted to soar, but James opened my door and I opened my eyes. He scooped me out of the car, heat rushed through me, and I flinched. Damn libido. Let's go inside. James led me to the back entrance. This time the darkness didn't intimidate me, but the buzz droning in the back of my head grew louder. In the bare living room, I leaned against the wall below the stairs, and James stood mere inches away. But the tension we'd had during our first cup of coffee together filled the space between us. Being close to him no longer overwhelmed my senses. Instead, invisible threads interlaced through the air between us. What is that? My hollow voice lacked the curiosity that might have otherwise been apparent. I wasn't enjoying being a vampire. James shook his head and blinked with a lack of understanding I'd never seen in him before, but his eyes weren't the same black and gold. They'd gone chestnut brown, almost red. More emotion lay beneath. Then the fake him kneeled, and at the same time the real him stood in front of me. His kneeling self laid his lips against my swollen belly. His skin darkened into an olive tan. The image changed so rapidly it made me dizzy. A weight pressed against my side from my hip to my shoulder, cradled in my left arm. James's eyes carried his smile more than his lips did. His hands pressed to my cheeks. Then his lips met mine, and weight closed in on both sides. Which touch was real? Bianca, he said again, against my lips. Yes, Xander. James pulled away, and I stood back in the abandoned house. The droning buzz transformed into a hazy loss, and I shook my head. Logan? Somehow, Logan had been mine. My son. James's and mine. How in the living hell? Scratching absently at the back of his neck, James laughed a serious, dead laugh. You've got me. He backed further away and the images grew dimmer, taking their comfort with them. My flesh hummed, the numbness fading. What happened to them, I asked. They're long dead. Despair consumed me, worse than when I lost my grandparents, my guardians. No. Yes, and their souls still linger, but the bodies are gone, except for mine. Reaching for him, the contact made my lower abdomen spasm and cramp. Pain concentrated at my pelvis. I fell to my knees and grabbed at James's hands. A cry gurgled up my throat and made my breathing heavy. What's happening? Labor? He squeezed my convulsing hands. Let go of me. James backed away and the pain dissipated. I panted. How do women fucking do that? You're asking the wrong person. He knelt with me, searching my face. Let's test something, all right? Catching my breath, I nodded, and he touched me again. My lids fluttered, but I saw the image of him in dark blue, formal toga-like attire beneath hanging white flowers. I walked toward him, covered in white and holding the same white flowers. Stiff stems pressed against my scalp from ear to ear like a headband. The sun hit my olive skin with pure happiness. He offered me a smile, almost too large for his face, and mine grew wide in return. Then the vision changed again. Shadows cut across his face pleasantly, and a field of candles lit the small room around us. Smelling of smoked sweetgrass, James knelt in front of me. The tension between us mounted before he kissed me. Somehow, his forehead met mine at the same time. In reality, maybe. He laid me on a bed of feathers, pulling the knots of my dress apart. The white cloth fell from my shoulders, and he stopped kissing me to look at my body for the first time, although I have no idea how I knew that. His chestnut eyes appeared so innocent and real. The images disappeared with his touch. Did you see them? My eyes refocused in the darkness of the condemned house, letting me see how haunted James looked. Yes. That night we conceived our son, Logan. His shoulders shifted, and his chest expanded with a sudden intake of breath. That's a hell of a gift you have there, Rhea. It's one hell of a Dracula situation. Weakness took over the comfort brought by the images. The numbness fell away, and I had no fire in me to fight. I slid onto my butt and curled up on my side. I killed 2 people in as many hours, and my gut told me I would do it again. Numbness, please come back until I fall asleep so I can deal with it tomorrow. James bent next to me and wiped my hair out of my face. He lay behind me on the hard carpeting, wrapping around me, and neither of us moved until morning. Sunbeams pierced the cracks of the wooden shutters into the thick, dusty air, filling the living room with warm yellows and oranges, and spotted the brown floor with blues. I slipped from under James's arm and sat up. My muscles were loose and surprisingly relaxed. Light cut across my knuckles. I held up my hand in the orange glow and rolled it over my skin. A hint of rainbow glinted in each movement. I picked out the pinks and yellows, the oranges and greens, and the blues and purples. Still in the red dress and heels, I went into the kitchen in the back of the house, the island and stove to my right, and a small nook for a table off to the left. I wanted blueberry pancakes. I searched the fridge and cupboards for food, but it reminded me too much of home. The cupboards were bare. Well, no real surprise. I nudged James onto his back. His eyelids fluttered open, and he smiled. What happened? He sat up abruptly on his feet before I blinked, the smile gone. The shift in him made me look around. For the first time, old worries resurfaced. Nothing. I just wanted to make some pancakes, but there's no food in the house. Nothing outside indicated a threat, but my heart had a hard time slowing down. Expression closed as his eyebrows came together. An abrupt snort of laughter escaped him. Pancakes? After all of this, you want pancakes? Well, I picked at the dirt under my fingernails. Kind of, yeah. We can eat, right? I'm not going to explode or anything if I do. Yeah, we can eat real food, but it won't do you any good. But it won't make me fat either. I knew my gaze held hope, even playfulness. If we pretended nothing had changed, I'd believe it. It amazed me how 2 weeks felt like an eternity. Mina Harker must have felt this way. His laughter eased the tension knotted at the base of my neck. No, I can't say I've ever seen that happen before. His gaze shifted across the windows. I see you're going to hear that phrase a lot. This has never happened before. Because no newborn has ever woken before sunset, except under extreme situations, and not always then. Does that mean I'm powerful or something? Could that actually be true? Me, with power? Several stories and myths tell of abnormal power or abilities in vampires. Usually, the older the vampire, the more powerful they were, but sometimes they found abilities elsewhere. I already had these flashes of images when I touched James, at least most of the time. Or something is right. Don't get ahead of yourself. We'll go with special before I jump the gun on a clear hypothesis. You understand, observation and all that. Well, I'm something then. Will you buy me pancakes or some mix so I can make it here? 'Cause I wasn't joking. I stepped out of my red pumps and walked to the stairs. Only if I get a pretty please. Pretty please? Blueberry pancakes. I ascended the stairs in under a second and looked around the master bedroom. The bed had obvious bloodstains concentrated at the head, and the other stains riddled the rest of the malformed cloth cupboard springs. Next to the master bath, there was a walk-in closet full of clothes. Most of them for me. How planned out had this been, especially if his girlfriend, whom I had a real hunch still existed, didn't know about me. I pulled out a pair of blue jeans, a pale pink t-shirt, and black sneakers. The back door opened and closed with a thud before the engine to James's little black convertible came to life. I placed the clothes on the yellow laminate counter and turned the shower on. Ice spread across my middle, and I begged God that, regardless of what James said, the pancakes would do something about it. No way could I handle killing someone else right then. James came back before I finished, and I did not get out until the water ran cold. I endured too many 7-minute showers in my life. I stood naked in the steam, rising to my toes to stretch back in a long arc, marveling at how my toes didn't slip once as my fingers met the wall behind me, my muscles pulled, and the burning stretch felt long overdue. After I got dressed, I met James in the kitchen where he sat on a newly cleaned counter with 2 cups of coffee. A box of pancake mix, a carton of blueberries, eggs, and milk sat on the counter too. "You put sugar in my coffee?" I asked. "Who said it was yours?" His feature danced with mischief. "What, you hiding another girl in here somewhere?" I cupped the soothing heat of the porcelain against my palms. I sipped warm my throat and stomach, but the black hole of my gut sucked away the brief heat. He'd taken out the pan and mixing bowls. I made quick work of the pancakes, and stewed in thoughts of death, blood, and immeasurably consistent pain before I built the courage to breach a topic I always had difficulty with. "Did you really know my mother?" I did. His lack of elaboration made me want to shake him. Instead, I shook the first set of pancakes on a plate and set them in front of James. "And?" "And what?" He smiled in fractions until his fangs extended over his bottom lip. "And tell me about it. About her. What was she like? What did she look like? Was she nice?" I started to turn back to the stove and stopped. "Did you know my father?" "Only from business." James cut into the pancakes with determination. "Who is he?" Movement fled my limbs, leaving me tottering in place. Adarin Tengai. His first name means bird, and his second means fire warrior. James cut another triangle from his stack of pancakes and stuffed them into his mouth. "Are they good?" "Just as good as your mother's." I grabbed the plate and swung it back to the stove with a small clatter. "Good. Now start talking, and no more riddles." "It's not a riddle." I slammed the pan into the chipped counter. Surprise flung me back as debris rattled over the floor. Wood splintered, and half the counter collapsed. Looking over at his amused face took me a moment. "Oh my shit, I'm that kind of vampire?" "That depends. Are you going to beam me with a skillet if I don't answer your questions?" Shaking it at him, I said, "Don't fuck with me." But I couldn't keep from laughing. I held the ability to demolish an entire house in my hands. I covered most of my face with the skillet, peering over the rim at him, cheesing like an idiot behind the cast iron. "Let's start here. Your father was a bird of fire, a phoenix, a light warrior. I met him twice on business for my queen. He mated with your mother, whom I met a month later, just 2 days after she found out she was pregnant with you." Hold it right there. My brain fought to catch up. A phoenix, like a gigantic flaming bird. And my mom. How does a bird impregnate a human female? They're called bosex, or, literarily speaking, were-creatures. Like most mythical and magical individuals, they have the ability to shift shape or to take human form for an extended period of time. And this is common, like, are we all part of mythos here? Let's go back to that key phrase we talked about earlier, shall we? Only with one minor revision. This has only happened once before. "So," I said with hesitation, "I wasn't human before. What do you think?" "No, I guess with my current strain of luck I wouldn't have been. That's why you met my mother. My assignment was to clear you and sign off that you were completely human, or kill you if you weren't." A careful, blank look masked his thoughts. "But I wasn't human." "No, and I have a feeling I'm not getting any more pancakes." The frying pan wavered in my hand, but I thought better of it. I'd never know my parents if I clobbered James upside the head. I returned his pancakes and leaned over the island as he shifted them around. They seemed to breathe free enough for him to take another bite. "So hi, I've had a life-altering few days here. My whole world has come crashing down around me, and I'm suddenly a killer vampire. Can you focus on that, maybe? Just for a few more minutes." "Perfectly capable of focusing, but you need to ask better questions." "Oh, really? Why did you sign me off as human?" He took his time chewing. "Because if you hadn't been human, it would have been my obligation to eliminate you." Says fucking who? Another bite of pancake. "Really? Selfish twat face." I took his plate back and grabbed my own fork, slicing into the pancakes. The moist carbohydrates relieved as much as the coffee, but I ate them anyway. His chewing slowed to a stop. I didn't like the way he regarded me. "Our queen and my mentor." "Your mentor." Synonymous with lover in this instance. Fork and plate lowering, I shook myself back to reality. Was I in a Twilight Zone episode? Some surreal alternate universe? This is absurd. Do you realize how much this changes? Yes, I do. Why would you do this to me? Why would he hijack my emotions, try so hard to make me feel something for him? Why bring my mother into this? Did he expect me to take down his queen? I barely kept Ari and myself alive for the last 5 years. How the hell would I take down the queen of the vampires? Anxiety broke. He'd thrown on too many damn straws. I wish you just left me alone. I dropped the plate to the rubble-covered floor. walking to the living room and up the stairs. The bloody old bed seemed like better company at the moment, and far less disgusting. I cried, girl, that sunbeam. This is what happens when you have 8 cats. He's lounging up on top of my bookshelf, above my desk, and my very expensive computer. Kind of scares me a little bit. Several stories and myths tell of abnormal. Oh my god, abnormal. I can say this word. I know I can. Several stories and myths tell of abnormal power. I got through that word. Hello. Stock much?